Welcome to Jazz Zone Together, our new online jazz community providing educational and classroom resources and interviews with artists, celebrities, and jazz educators, as well as valuable teaching tips and repertoire suggestions. Today, we're pleased to welcome well-known and accomplished composer-arranger Victor Lopez to Jazz Zone Together. In addition to his writing success, Victor created highly regarded band programs in Miami and went on to become an administrator in the Miami-Dade schools. Now I'll turn the mic over to Dick Dunscomb to conduct the interview with Victor. Dick, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bob. Oh, wow. This is one I've really been looking forward to. Victor Lopez and I have known each other for a couple of days and maybe even years. You know, you've said what he means to the world today, primarily to the contemporary jazz educators, is as a highly successful and genuinely talented writer and arranger. Victor, give us a brief picture of your younger life growing up in Miami.
Oh, wow. I came over to the United States in 1961 from Cuba. And actually, I landed in Miami, and we had left the Castro regime, which was had started in 1959, and my father, via Puerto Rico, was able to get us visas to fly to Miami. And so that worked out for us. When we got here, you know, like everybody else, we had some times that things were a little hard, and we had to do assignment jobs and things that we were not used to. But I'm sure you hear the same story for a lot of the immigrants when they come to this country. I went to Charlotte Elementary during that time. Then I was moved to Citrus Grove Elementary, which is in the Little Havana area. And while at Citrus Grove, we got an opportunity to relocate. The government was relocating newly arrived Cubans to this country. And we were relocated to Kansas City, Missouri. Mm-hmm. So we were for a couple of months here in Miami, and then relocated to Kansas City, Missouri. And it was part of a project. It was a Presbyterian church that had accommodated everything for us as soon as we arrived to Kansas City. They fixed up an apartment building for us. We walked in, and the shelves were all full of cans and everything you needed to cook with, and it was incredible. It was incredible that the people in that church had all contributed, and they were so happy to welcome us, and for us was a new experience. But anyhow, I was there for 3 months because my mom could not handle the snow. Kansas City can get very cold and snowy. And she would have to walk long ways to get the bus to go to work and so forth. So I was only in the school system there for 3 months. I joined the band, and the band director was very excited. I had some experience already, a little bit of music experience. And, you know, when I told him we were leaving, it was like devastating because his program was kind of small, and he was trying to build it up. And he was very happy that I was going to be playing the trumpet. And so when I told him we were going back to Miami, he said, oh, no. So, you know how it is. We, when we are directors, music teachers, we look, and some students promise a little bit more than others. And so I guess I was promising for him. And so he was he didn't like it, but he said, you have to go with a family. That's fine. That you got to do what you got to do. So I went back to Miami. I finished junior high school. No, I was in elementary, and then I entered junior high school at Citrus Grove. And then from there, I went to Miami High School, and I graduated from Miami High School. And some of my music experience actually got started when I was in Cuba. I know you told me to give you a brief picture, so here it is, a brief picture of my. That's me at the age of 6, giving end of the year 11-page memorized speech to the parents and students of the school. So that was amazing. And my mom was hiding right behind the curtain with the 11 pages. In case I forgot any part of it, she would whisper it. And then I would remember and pick up and keep going. So anyhow, I did some singing while I was in Cuba. I was in Catholic school. They had a chapel, and the priest would get on the organ and start playing, and he would play the first chord of the hymn, and then I would start singing it, and the congregation would join in. From there, I did a couple of plays at the school, and then when I got to Miami, when we came back from Kansas City, I started going to these evening competitions that they had on Saturdays in one of the theaters here in Miami, and anyone could come in. And actually, there were somewhat of a talent competition. So if you sang or play an instrument or you told jokes or whatever it was, you were invited. So I started going to some of those functions, and I got some awards. And usually the awards were either a cake, maybe Cuban coffee, things like that. It wasn't money per se, but it was more like sponsored by certain companies. And so that's what we got for singing. And everything was going pretty good. And I won a couple of times until one time this one little girl came in, and she couldn't sing very well, but she wiggled her behind a little bit, and the audience went crazy. She was like 2 or 3 years old. And that was the end of my career. But anyhow, from there, I learned how to play the trumpet, went to high school, Miami High, and continued on the band, where Gus Perry was the band director. And that was the school that Al Wright had taught for 14 years. And he had quite a reputation and a great program. But when I was given the opportunity to come in and teach, it was a challenge. But anyhow, that was my growing up in Miami. And while I was at Miami High and also the middle school, I was selling newspapers and getting these jobs that were crazy, like East Coast Fishery, where I peeled shrimps for 75 cents a bucket. Oh Lord. Peeling shrimp is an issue because you can't put gloves on it because they slide off, and then your fingers get kind of slimy after a while. So it's really crazy. And I tried to cheat a little bit, and I remember putting some ice in the bucket so it would weigh a little more, and then I took it in to get it weighed so I could get my 75 cents. And once they pour that thing, the man looked at me and said, "Not again." But anyhow, it was exciting for my brother and I, because when you're kids, you as long as you have food and you can play, I guess you're happy. For my parents, it was a different story. But that was my growing up in Miami and studying. I don't want to get ahead of the probably questions that you may have about other things later. And so.
That's a good story. Yes, sir. You know, a lot of people know you as an arranger, a composer, and they also know about your happiness in your job and in your life. Um, we know that Miami High School is a thread, which we'll come back to on a couple of occasions. Now, we know that you received music degrees from both University of Florida as well as Florida International University. What led you into the field of music and jazz education?
Well, you know, my teachers, I would say, teachers that I had at the different schools and the programs, and opportunities. And sometimes it wasn't so much that I wanted to be a musician than the opportunity to go to school because, let's say, University of Florida or Miami-Dade College, receiving scholarships. That helped pay for the books, and that's how I got through college. And so that kind of influenced a little bit my decision to become a music teacher. And actually, what I really wanted to do was play the trumpet. And so my dad used to be a trumpet player in his early years in Cuba before his father passed away, and you know, gave when he passed away, my dad inherited the company, which was you know, making spices and things like that. The name of it was La Minerva. And so, but before that, he used to play trumpet with several groups in Havana, and he wasn't very happy that I was going to be a musician. He wasn't very happy that, you know, that was what I wanted to do, because in his mind, he could only relate anything just based on his experiences in Cuba. Now, in Cuba, a lot of musicians have always told me that they could live pretty decent on a salary that the musicians made playing in bands and stuff like that. So when they, and I'm sure you got this from all other musicians, maybe Arturo has mentioned it, that when you come here, it's a different story, okay? And unless you are awesomely great, you know, it is difficult to live from just playing the horn in a nightclub, and sometimes not getting a steady gig, if you will, and you don't have that income coming. So I decided that I wanted to play, but also I said, you know, if I'm going to have a steady income, I think it will be best if I teach also. And that's the route that I took. And it was based about, you know, consultations with professors that I had. Wilmot at University of Florida, who once told me, Victor, I think that's a good decision. Although I got to tell you that you will probably end up signing your check and giving it back to the school board at the end of the day. And I said, how's that? They said, well, you'll find out. And sure enough, I did find out, because you know how much money teachers actually use from their own money to buy supplies and buy things for our students. And that's what I ended up doing at Mays Junior High School, which was my first assignment as a teacher, a classroom teacher in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And so, you know, going through Miami-Dade, where they gave me a scholarship, and I was able to transfer University of Florida. Reed Poole was the gentleman came down to interview me. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but he, one of the founders of, I think he was the founder of the variety band, they used to call it, at University of Florida, which actually later on, Robert Foster, not W, I'm thinking of Robert Smith now. Robert Foster, who later on went to Kansas, and he was also a writer, changed the name to Jazz Ensemble. And so, but it used to be called Variety Band. And he came down to Miami-Dade. He interviewed me. He needed a lead trumpet player at the university, and he said, you know, we got you, and I'm going to send a tape to Richard W. Bowles, who was also in the faculty at that time, and says, and we'll make a decision and let you know. And I remember being a little devil, and I didn't get an answer very quickly, and the time had passed, and so I called Poole, and I said, I haven't heard from you guys, and so I said, Florida State wants me, so I don't know if you all going to make a decision or not, but and he said, oh, no, don't do that. We don't want you going to Florida State. You hang in there and I'll call you. Well, within an hour, he was calling me, telling me that he wanted that they were going to send the paperwork in the mail and for me to sign it and so forth. So I put a little pressure there to kind of move that. But I had a great experience at the University of Florida. Then Gary Langford, who you also know, both of you probably know, he was my trumpet teacher there. So I had two trumpet teachers that are well known in the business, Robert Foster, Gary Langford. And then here at home, I had a gentleman, I don't know if you recall him, Dick, his name is John Branzer, who's a very fine player and all that. And he actually, I took lessons from him for a while, and he was pretty much the one that helped me with getting my lip in shape and being able to play the higher notes with more comfort than straining myself to get them, and I remember him, helping me a lot. And while I was at Florida, I'll never forget, this is a real funky story. He tells me, whenever your lips get very swollen, okay, use I forgot the name of something Vaseline, okay, but not the plain Vaseline. There's another one. I just totally forgot the name of it now. And he said, just apply it on the lip, and the swelling will come down. So guess what? The day before my senior recital, I decided to do that because I had been playing quite a few concerts, and at the university with a scholarship, you played in the jazz band, you played in the concert band, I did the orchestra, and if you have a good lip, then you can play the D minor mass by Bach on D trumpet, so. And so I got called to do all those things. And so the lip was really swollen. And I had my senior recital the next day. Well, guess what? I started putting that Vaseline on there, and the lip got so soft that I couldn't even play. So I remember calling him and saying, John, this is happening. You told me to put that on. And he says, yeah, but I didn't tell you to put it for 24 hours. So I couldn't play, and they had to cancel my senior recital. Gary Langford explained to the committee, he said, you guys know he can play. I don't know what's going on. But I showed up and I told him, I said, but I didn't explain all of this to the committee. But later on, I talked to Gary and I told him, he said, I don't know, you. But anyhow, I thought that was interesting. But my music decisions were pretty much affected in a good way by my teachers and people who I along the way helped. And I forgot to thank you both for inviting me to this great interview that you're doing for the Jazz Zone Together project. It's just amazing. I just remember. And Dick, you and both, Bob Dingley, you guys, I don't know, you're very unselfish. You're always promoting people that are in the industry, and that helps. And I've had some of those people along the way that also, they help you. And like Richard Bowles helped me to get a job here in Miami. his daughter had graduated, and he called the music supervisor in Miami and asked to see if he could interview his daughter for a job. And then I told him that I was coming to Miami too, and because of him and his connection with Dr. Doolin at that time, I was able to get a job in Miami-Dade County Public Schools as a music teacher. So it's just all the people. I've been very fortunate to have had good people help me.
That's all fascinating. It's very interesting to our listeners to also have you take us on a little trip with the Miami Sound Machine. Tell us about that and your role.
Well, the Miami Sound Machine was the second band that I played with. I used to play with a Latin band called Conjunto Universal. And they were the hottest group down here in Miami. And we used to play what was called the Cuban Dances on Saturdays. And it was really packed all the time because, most of the Cuban community here, and I guess this is true about any immigrant group, they always reminisce about home and where they came. And most people don't want to leave their native land, but they have to sometimes because of the situations that they encounter that are actually brought about by changing governments and so forth. And I don't want to get now into politics, but anyhow, we were the band that actually played Saturdays at different places in Miami, and they would get packed. And the leader for the band used to listen to bands in Cuba, and we could get the radio station from here, from Miami. We could get those radio waves, and you could hear the Cuban radio, and he would copy arrangements by ear and write them out. Okay, and we would then play them at the Saturday night Cuban dances, and boy, the audience would go crazy. Well, that's like someone, let's say, in the UK taking songs from here that are number one, and they play it over there, and the audience goes crazy. And so we used to record those pieces, and I used to ask the leader, I said, aren't we going to get in trouble one day for playing these songs that belong actually to other bands? So he said, well, no, if you notice, in every album that we recorded, we always wrote rights reserved, the rights to the whatever, were reserved. However, I never understood where the rights to those pieces went, who did what, it was, but if we ever got in trouble, every album said rights reserved. So I guess we would have to just show how many albums we sold and then pay whoever is the owner of the rights. So one of those monkey business things. But anyhow, I did about, I don't know, I would say about maybe 8-10 years with that band. We were really hot, and I got an opportunity to play with a lot of, we were the warm-up group a lot of times, and so I met a lot of the other salsa bands here in town, and in some cases I got to play the shows. They always called me to sit in, the band would travel around with just the rhythm section and pick up the horn lines here in Miami. I did some Celia Cruz shows a couple of times, and then I did some other things like play with the Love Unlimited Orchestra, which was gigantic, but they don't travel with all those musicians. They only travel with their rhythm section. Then everybody else gets picked up here in town. Smothers Brothers show, remember that? Long time ago, yeah. That was easy, just like da 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 ba 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 da ba da da da. Just keep playing it, and then go take it up a half step and another half step, and so that was an easy gig. But I also, met a lot of people, and so. That was good. But then the time came in, Emilio asked me Emilio Stephan, if I wanted to join Sound Machine. And Miami Sound Machine at that time was not good at all. you know, his wife was singing and she was okay. And it was just a small group and they did the small parties and those kind of things. And I turned them down. I said, you know, this band is cooking now. We're playing like Wednesday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights. Sometimes afternoons we would do the weddings. We would do what they call Kingses, which is like Sweet 16, okay, party. We were happening, and all of that was cash, okay? So you can imagine. I told him, you know, I don't want to jump now and maybe in the future. So then again, he came back and asked me a second time. And I talked to my parents about that at that time. You know, I was single. I had no other responsibilities. And I said, well, do what you want to do. And if you want to go there, fine. And I said, you know, this guy looks like he's got, and when I say guy, meaning Emilio, like he's got big plans and stuff. And, you know, it's hard to tell. You never know in music. But I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. So I jumped and I went there, and Emilio decided to give me $10 more than I was earning with the Conjunto Universal. So that meant $75 a gig. And that's how it started. So I got in the band. The band started picking up. We started, you know, the horn line really added the punch they needed. And so we would do some dancing out there and on stage. And then the composing of the tunes usually was a collaborative event. Everybody would come in and give their ideas. You know, we would start, let's say in the case of Conga, Kiki Garcia got the idea, he would bring it in, then Gloria would mess with the words and give her opinions about this and that, and then we would put, you know, I would say, you know, here's a lick, and we would play the lick, and oh yeah, it fit, doesn't fit, let's do it, not, you know, and that's how we did that. However, usually the credit only went to one person, and that was Emilio Stefan. Once in a while, there might be a piece with the name of, let's say, Kiki Garcia, the drummer who was writing at that time, come up with a tune. But outside of that, it was just one person. So, and we did that, and we traveled a lot. I met more people. That's one thing about being in music. You travel a lot, you meet a lot of people. That's where I met Arturo Sandoval for the first time. We had a concert at Bellas Artes, which was a humongous place in Puerto Rico. And, you know, we were there playing, and then Arturo was also playing, but he was at some club, a nightclub. And I remember the word got out that he was there in town, and we all got excited, and we said, hey, as soon as we finish our gig, we're running over. And so the roadie, who in Puerto Rico said that, you know, I can get you there, no problem. I know where the club is and so forth. So after we finished playing, we all ran there, and the club was packed. But the first aisle was totally empty. No one was sitting there. So we thought maybe it was reserved for dignitaries. Who knows, you know? So we decided, I told Kiki, the drummer, I said, you know, let's go sit there. And if we belong to somebody else, they'll kick us out. And so we went there, we sat there, and they never kicked us out. And guess what? Here's Arturo. The stage was within maybe 6 feet away from the first row. And he's shooting these double high C's and you know, and I'm just eating it up, right? And, you know, he's right there in the middle of the stage blowing away, and I'm just sitting there, you know. It was too bad I didn't have an iPhone at that time. I would have been taking pictures crazy on it. But anyhow, that's where I met him. I mean, he took, after the show, we went backstage. I have pictures, and I talked to him, I met him. Then I saw him again with the Miami High Band, which I took to Santo Domingo and for a band trip. And he was playing in Bellas Artes in Santo Domingo too. And I saw him there that night. I'll never forget that. He was singing, he was playing the tune Georgia. And I remember him singing it with a Spanish accent. You know, it was really funny, but great things. You know, you get to meet a lot of people, and it's great. So my sound machine gave me the opportunity. We were in Japan for the International Music Festival, which we won, and Carl Lewis was there as one of the judges. Apollonia, who did I forgot the title of the movie, something in the Hudson. I forgot. Anyhow, she was part of it. And it was great. It was great that we were 2 weeks at the Tokyo Palace. You know, it just amazing. So the one thing, it was very hectic for me to be doing that and also teaching at the same time. And but yeah, it was great experience.
Now, your teaching career is really quite legendary in Florida, where you were selected as Teacher of the Year and built highly successful music programs. Share with us some of the highlights of those years.
Well, you know, Dick, when I started teaching at Miami-Dade County Public Schools, it was interesting because I just wanted a job. Okay, and I think most students who graduate from a university and they get their degree, the first thing they want to land a job. And so I went and I interviewed at Riviera Middle School, Miami Jackson High School, at Miami Lakes, I think, I forgot, 4 or 5 of them. And for some reason, you know, I couldn't land a job. And sometimes the excuses will be things like, well, we decided on somebody else because you are too young and you look too much like the kids. And, you know, I came in, I had all my records there and everything I had done, arrangements, and I'm showing all the stuff that I can do and how we can build a program. But somehow I was having a little problem with that. And then all of a sudden, I get a letter from downtown, the personnel department, signed by the superintendent, saying that I have been assigned to Mays, M-A-Y-S, junior high school at that time, junior high school. And I got really excited, but I didn't know where the school was. I didn't know anything about the school. And I told my dad, I said, wow, look at this. And he says, well, find out and call and see, you know, what the school is. This is great. So I called a good friend of mine and he said, Victor, my God, no, you don't want to go there. That's a school no one wants to go. It's a very poor school. It's in the black area of the city down there. Almost, you know, it was in 200 and whatever street, 16th Street, Hayland Drive. And he says, you don't want to go there. No one wants to teach there. That's why they assign you. So I shared those words with my dad. And my dad said, well, you know, you need to find out more and don't go by what your friend is telling you. And so I called the principal. I had an interview with the principal. And he showed me where the band room was, and oh man, sure enough, it was. You can imagine instruments in the instrument rooms that were destroyed. The music stands all bent out of shape. The timpani heads were all cracked, you know, and then it was like it was bad. And so he told me that the person he had before did not have any control of the classroom, lacked classroom management, and just didn't have it. And so he left. And so I had some good experiences doing my internship at Florida, and I did it at Eastside High School. And the school was somewhat similar to this situation that I was going into. And I was very successful at Eastside High School because I took attention of the kids. I liked the kids. I wrote for the kids while I was there. And to the point that before I left my internship, and I hate to be jumping back and forth, but you know, I wasn't prepared for this thing. You should have given me like a month or so. Anyhow, when I left the internship, Dr. Wilmer told me, Victor, this is sad what I'm going to tell you, but the kids don't want you to leave. They want their band director to go and for you to stay. Okay, so here I am. I had that experience, so I somewhat knew, what I could do at that school, and I moved to Mays Junior High School now, and I took the job. And I mean, the superintendent signed the letter, and he's assigning you. I think it would be not too smart for me to turn the job down. Okay. So my dad said, I think you did a good decision, and I think they're trying you. They want to see if you can turn that program around. So I did. I went there. First thing I did the week before we started the classes, I told the principal I need money to buy paint because I want to paint the band room. I want to make it look so when the kids walk in, all of a sudden, before they even ask, they're going to say, "Whoa, what happened here?" Okay. And so sure enough, he gave me the name of the band parents to call. He gave me money for paint. We started fixing it. We cleaned up. We didn't find any instruments on the floor that were banged or stands that were out, all of that out of the way so that they would not be able to see it. And then, when they see destruction there, it almost like it inspires more destruction. So we took care of it. So anyhow, it took me 3 years to get, kids started signing up. I started writing pop tunes for them. So, that was amazing. I don't want to say too much about that because Bob Dingley is here and he may sue me for writing stuff without permission. So I used to write, the tunes would come out during the summer, write them out for the kids, and that was great. That's how I really got writing more and more for the band, and eventually ended up publishing music. But anyhow, so it grew, and the third year as a teacher there at Mays, then I got hit with the Air Base kids being moved out of Mays Junior High School to a new school. So they took like half of the band. So that was devastating because here I am, things were clicking. Well, it took me another 3 years to build them up again. And we were doing parades in the neighborhood, and the Black community loved it because they have been somehow abandoned by, the previous band director wasn't doing much, and the band was the heart of that place, because Mays used to be a high school. And so we would do all the parades around town. They would give us good money, $500 to come in on a Saturday morning, play, and we did. And then they would recommend other areas, even down at Homestead. And so it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of work because many of the students couldn't own good instruments. So I ended up, taking old instruments and just buying good mouthpieces, and that kind of helped a little bit, but it's not the same, that. And so outside of that, we built a program, and that's how I got noted for some of the work we did. And I was lucky because we have very many good teachers in Miami-Dade County, and I was named Dade County Teacher of the Year, and then after that, the state of Florida Teacher of the Year. That was an opportunity. Some people said, "Boy, now it's your chance to get into administration, and then you go that route." But I wasn't ready. And in life, you have to be ready for things. So the opportunities are going to be there eventually. And so I held off on that. I think I could have gone, and like Jack Bullock used to say, "When are you going to become the superintendent?" I said, "I don't know about that, Jack. It's just getting too complex these days." But that was quite an experience, And from there, I got a lot of calls to go and move to high schools, and said, "Look, just like you build the Mays band," and which, by the way, used to feed into Miami Southridge, and Mel Baker was the band director there, and his bands were awesome. And I remember he passed away now. Well, both Mel Baker and the trumpet player that he had from Mays Junior High School made the first chair All-State. And those kids, it was awesome that they were playing the way they played, and it was a great experience. And then I got an opportunity to go to Miami High School. And as you may know, that I was a student there. Then I started to teach band. And the principal there, Curtis Knowles, he wanted to build a program again. And it was really sad because when I was a student, the band was like close to 200 students. And Gus Berry had a tremendous band, but those were different years. And then here I come back, and it was like 1985 or so. The band is like 35 kids. The flags, the group was larger than the band, and it was like, it was really crazy. And so, but Curtis Knowles said, whatever it takes, I want you to build this band. So before I even left Mays Junior High School, he was already allocating funds, and he told his secretary to start ordering equipment so that I will, day one, get into Miami High School, I would have all that. And that's how much he wanted to build that program. And that's another thing that some of us sometimes wonder why our programs don't grow as much as they can grow. It's not necessarily the band director, is the administrators have a lot to do with it too. Do the administrators want, like Curtis Knowles used to tell me, Victor, the band program is a shining window in my school at Miami High, and I'd like to keep it clean. Now, with that attitude, you know, it was incredible. How can you turn down something like that? And so it pretty much gives you, it's telling you, you're the person that can make it happen now. Because, you know, here's the principal helping you and giving you the money you need. Now, what is the excuse, right? So I was lucky that I got that. And then the next principal that came in, Diego Garcia, was a former Spanish teacher of mine. And people used to ask me, how, you know, you're playing with Miami Sound Machine and you're conducting the band. How are you doing this kind of stuff? I said, well, you know, it's hard. It's very hard. Actually, my stomach used to be upset most of the time because the schedule was incredible, trying to keep everything going. And on top of that, I didn't have a family. So imagine if I would have had a family. So Diego loved it. He said, I love what you do. I want you to continue, because when you come back to the band room and you start teaching those students, you're teaching them exactly what you practice. And I like that. And so I remember we were playing in Puerto Rico at the Caribe Hilton, and I invited him and his wife, who happened to be in a cruise one summer, and we were there an entire month doing a show. And he came by and said, boy, if the kids could see you, the other side of Victor Lopez here. That's it. I really enjoyed it. And I'm so glad that you do this and you are able to share this with the students. But anyhow, yeah, Miami High allowed me to do certain things and build programs. But, you know, it's all about your personality. It's all about what you want to do, and the things that you do that parents pick up on, and then they give you a hand, and that's important. The parents, everybody, you know, contributing. But I think the administrators are key, and I think any administrator who does not see the importance of music programs and how effective they are, and like Curtis Knowles used to tell me, you know, the band goes outside marching out there, and so more people see them than if you have just a concert in school. So most of the time in the concert, the parents show up. But when you go with your marching band out and you do these parades, it says sometimes the entire nation sees it. When we, for example, when we did the Macy's parade in 1983 at Miami High, we were the first band in South Florida to be selected for that. We we made the contact for that parade through the Macy's in Aventura, that had opened up, and they went and invited a band to perform there. And while I'm there, I'm talking to the lady in charge from the Macy's store, and I said, it'll be nice if someday we could get into the Macy's parade and all that. That'll be great. And so she made it happen. She even donated $2,000 to our trip, and she said, "Don't say a word because I don't do this for everybody." But we did that, and we did a lot of things, and I saw the music program as a selling point for not only the school, but the community. The kids enjoyed it. When we did the David Letterman halftime Fiasco, I called it, because they were trying to get the blimp, the big blimp that used to be on the Orange Bowl, the Goodyear blimp. Do you remember that? No. Okay. That blimp, for some reason, David Letterman couldn't get it to fly through the Orange Bowl. And he was bugging and bugging and bugging. So eventually, one afternoon, I get a call, and they said that they were looking for a band to do that halftime show. Not the halftime show, but to spell "Bite Me, Dave" in the field. And I remember doing that. And it was funny because, at 4:00, I think they were taping it from New York or something. And we went on the field, we practiced. They fed the kids, and then they donated money. They took the buses, took us there. We did that. And that was kind of crazy, but the kids loved it. It didn't hurt anybody. And I didn't get permission from the region, though. And I kept it quiet. They never knew about that.
Victor, time is
But
getting.
we went on the field. We spelled out "Bite Me, Dave," and the tuba player just ran and put the dot on the I.
Victor, your stories are fabulous. And before we get away from time here on our interview today, let me say you also went on to become the principal at Miami Senior High and then an administrator. But before we leave, tell us a little bit about your music writing and arranging career. Tell us how it all began and some of your proudest accomplishments.
Well, the writing started, like I mentioned, actually started when I was in these bands down here. Before I even started writing any music officially, I was doing the horn lines just for some of the bands. And most of these bands didn't have the money to pay for arrangers to do that. So they would do it. We would play things by ear. So it became very difficult because I remember joining some of the early years, joining some bands where they would play these pieces. And then I said, well, where's the horn line? Oh, no, we don't have it. I mean, where's the part? And, oh, we don't have any parts. I said, what do you mean you don't have any parts? So how do I know what to play, when to play? And he says, oh, well, you got to do that by ear. I said, so, okay. I said, can you record whatever it is that you guys play or something? Oh, no. So that's how I started writing things for horns. And that was, but before that, if you want to call it some formal writing activities happen at UF under Richard Bowles. And, we all did the, actually, the situation with him was different than usual because, most colleges do not allow for a professor to have just one student in the class. You got to have your little quota, which is at least no less than 7 or 8 or whatever it is. So I wanted for him to be my professor, and I wanted to get arranging classes from him and all that. And so he said, let me see how we can work this out, because I see the desire for you to want to be in a class, but we don't have the students. So he went to the orchestra teacher and who taught orchestration, and he did arrangement. And he said to him, he says, I'm going to put Victor in your class, but he's going to report to me. And then at the end of the semester, I'm going to give you his grade. And then So if you look at my transcripts, it says that I took orchestration, never did that. It was arrangements with, with Dick Bowles. And he made me go through the library at University of Florida, which they gave me a job on the side there to make some money as an intern, as a student on scholarship, and study some of the marches, study other people's writing, get ideas, see how they do things. Okay, and then I would report to him what I would do, like during the week, which pieces I went, what I saw, what I didn't see, and we discuss everything from publishers sometimes where he says this person made a bad connection. I mean, he's getting published, but look this, and then we will go through it, and sure enough, the pieces were not edited properly, all those kind of things. So we had those kind of discussions, which help a lot. But then he told me, when you get your band and you start teaching, start writing for your own group, write for your kids. So I took that and I started doing that. I started writing for my own kids. So I would write, like I said earlier, for the Maze band, I would do the pop tune things, and the kids would love it. And if I could, I would leave it in the same key so they could play along, at home if they heard it on the radio or if they bought the record player at that time. So if they had the record. So I did that for a while. And then my friends started asking me for copies of it. And then one of them said, you can start writing this stuff and selling it on the side, and you can start making some money. I said, well, I don't know about that, because we get into the copyright issue and all that stuff. He said, well, then if I am your friend, then you can't charge me, and you're going to have to give it to me. And I won't pay, right? And I said, well, I guess so. So, I started to think about that. And so I went to Columbia Pictures Publication, and time went by, and I presented, I don't know, remember, Bob, that Columbia used to have these books that had the balloon heads on them?
Absolutely.
I forgot. Anyhow, they were kids, but their heads were balloons, okay? And they, and I thought, I was using it with a band, and I thought, I can do better than that. I can write better than that. And I saw some of the marching band stuff that was coming out, and I said, I can do that stuff. I can do it better. So I tried to get in contact several times, and nothing happened. So guess what? One day I'm having a band directors meeting at Miami High. I was the chairman of District 16, and it was a Saturday morning, run, get the donuts, get the coffee, all the band directors come in, we're gonna have the meeting. And I had invited Robert Smith, Jack Lamb, and Jack Bullock to come over and speak to the band directors about copyrights and other items that they would love to share with our membership. So, Robert did his thing, Jack and Jack did their thing. And then on the way out, I went up to Robert Smith and I said, Robert, I write for band. I do a lot of marching band arrangements for my band and stuff. And he said, do you? And he said, well, he says, send me a copy of one of your arrangements. I'd like to see him, and if you can get a sound file, that'll be great. So I said, okay, I will. But then when I walked away, I said, here we go again. Just send me the tape or send me a thing, and then it gets put in the bottom of the pile and you never get a call, okay? So I didn't do it. And guess what? Robert makes, at that time, I'm playing with Miami Sound Machine. Robert Smith gets a call from Gloria and Emilio Estefan that they were about to do conga, okay? And Robert Smith asked them if they knew Victor Lopez, and they said, oh, of course, he plays in the band and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And so here, Robert calls me and says, Victor, I was just on the phone with Gloria, and she said that she would like for you to do an arrangement of conga, which we are about to publish. and we've decided that. So send us copies of what you've written so we can see. So I got on my car. I drove to the Hialeah warehouse where they had where Columbia Pictures used to be, CPP, and then I left my stuff there for them to review. I met them, and he says, we'll call you. Well, before I got home, I had already from the secretary a message saying to call Robert W. Smith as soon as I got back. So that's how I got started in the publishing business. So the next thing is that he said, go ahead, write the arrangement, all stops out. Well, that chart on the first round sold over 2,000 copies. Mm. And I don't know how much more after that. There were band directors buying the chart, not because the kids could play it, but they wanted to see the licks. So that's how I got started. So that 1 year, Conga was one of the best sellers for Columbia Pictures. Then they sold out. Bob Dingley came in during the Warner Brothers years, and every year I got added more and more and more along the way, and that's how it happened for me. So yeah, write for your band first.
Great advice. Victor, your interview today is just so full of positive, very, very helpful information. We've talked about your background, we've talked about your history, and what does the future hold for Victor Lopez? Where are you going next?
Wow. Well, as you well know, I'm teaching right now at Nova Southeastern University, which is a private university, nonprofit. And I usually have to explain that because nonprofit means that whatever the university makes goes directly to students. When you're just for profit, then that means that even the board members get paid. So not all the funds go to the university, to students. So they are a private nonprofit university. And I was able to, when I retired from Miami-Dade County Public Schools, I was able to get a job with them. And because of the fact that I got my doctoral degree, by the way, at FIU, Florida International University, I was able to get that job and be able to teach now graduate students at the master and doctoral level, mostly for educational courses, which are leadership educational courses. And these are for future assistant principals and principals. And so I've been, when I first got the job, I got the job as director of the licensure and compliance office. And then there was a reconstruction done and everybody got moved around and they centralized all of the offices from all the colleges into just one office. So then I was given the opportunity to decide whether I wanted to retire or move on or continue as a professor. And I just said, you know, I'll stay. Nova is a very good place, a good university. It's almost like one of a hidden secret down here in South Florida. And they have a very large community of minority students, and it's a great place to work. So anyhow, I just said I want to stay, and so I've been with them now for 12 years, teaching those courses for 5 years, and I see the need right now for Victor Lopez. You know, I could retire. I do. I have a pension coming from the Florida state system. You know, my wife is still working, and so I could just say retire and just focus on just music. And I've thought about that many times. I'd say to myself, you know, maybe this is the time where all of the extra stuff that always got in the way of my music ideas and things that I wanted to always do, and maybe this is the time now in my old age to do this. So, and not have to worry about finances, which is great. So right now, that's a toughie. That I've been vacillating with that question for a while. What's in it now for me from now on? Do I want to stop? Do I want to continue? Sometimes I feel like the students that I deal with, they need guidance and they need to hear from people that are actually practitioners in the field that can tell you, like someone who taught in the classroom, but also was an administrator, and he can play the kind of games that are played. You know, that's what we go to college for, right? We pay the big bucks to get all that information in a short period of time, not a whole lifetime, you know? So I don't know, Dick. I don't have an answer for you right now, but I don't know. And you know, I work well under pressure. So I'm thinking, if I don't have pressure, am I going to work the same way, or am I going to now relax and say, "Oh, I got the time. I'll get to it tomorrow. Mañana, mañana, mañana."
Right. Well, listen,
I don't know.
this interview has been fabulous. And, you know, I want to thank you for sharing all this information with our viewers. Your career has been one of great accomplishments, and I'm sure that you will continue making music. That I know. It's been my pleasure to follow you and to know you as a friend. Victor Lopez, continue being a legend in our field. Thanks again, and be well and be safe.
Well, thank you both. And, you know, like I said, I'm very happy that you made me part of this video presentation that you have for your jazz program.
Victor, thank you. I appreciate your being a part of this. To our viewers, we appreciate you joining us today and being a part of Jazz Zone together. We hope you found the presentation of real value. We hope you'll join us for future episodes. In the meantime, please stay safe and please keep making music.